Welcome back to the Exposure History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Ella Harper, nicknamed the Camel Girl because of the bizarre way her legs bent backward, Ella Harper suffered from a congenital deformity called genu recurvatum, which caused hyperextension of her knee joints. Harper's condition was incredibly rare. Her knees were so severely bent that she had no choice but to move around on all fours, almost like an animal. Harper was thought to have been born in Hendersonville, Tennessee, between 1870 and 1873. She became the star of W.H. Harris's Nickel Plate Circus by 1886, and her name and likeness were prominently promoted in local newspapers whenever the circus changed locations. Harper was reportedly earning a very respectable $200 a week for her act, and she was quoted as saying that she aimed to quit show business and go to school. There are no further mentions of the Camel Girl act after 1886, so it seems like Harper may have gone on to lead a more normal life after she left the traveling circus. Mirin Dajo. Mirin Dajo, also called the Invulnerable Man, was born in the Netherlands in 1912 and gained fame in the 1940s for his extraordinary physical feats. He stunned people by stabbing himself with swords and large needles without bleeding, showing pain or lasting injury. This incredible ability caught the attention of a skeptical medical community. Dajo, along with his partners, were invited to Swiss hospitals for examination. Doctors witnessed him being pierced by a 28-inch sword. X-rays confirmed the sword went right through his body, shocking the medical experts. His acts weren't tricks, but genuine displays that baffled doctors and audiences alike. Mirin Dajo challenged what people believed about the limits of the human body, making him a mysterious and unforgettable figure. Today, he's remembered for pushing human endurance to the extreme and sparking curiosity among scientists and spectators. Stefan Bibrowski. Stefan Bibrowski was born in 1890 in Warsaw. He was sold off to Mr. Sedlmayr, a German showman, at the age of just 4, and with the permission of his parents, he began his exhibition career in 1895. He was given the name Lionel the Lion-Faced Boy, and a backstory involving his mother witnessing his father being eaten by a lion was added to his biography. This was cited as the cause of his 4-inch long fur, and the concept, known as imprinting, was a commonly held belief in the 1800s. Mr. Sedlmayr was kind to Stefan, and the showman ensured that the boy received a proper education. Stephen grew up to be a gentle, intelligent man despite his beastly appearance. He became a very popular sideshow attraction across the world and moved to America to work at the world-famous Barnum and Bailey Circus before returning to Germany 5 years later. Johnny Eck, born in 1911. In Baltimore, Maryland, Johnny Eck was a renowned actor and circus performer who lived with a rare physical condition. He was born without the lower half of his body. But that didn't stop Johnny from building a remarkable career and becoming well known for his incredible acrobatic abilities and appealing stage presence. Johnny wasn't just a performer, he was a man of different talents. He could paint and sing and was also a filmmaker. His popularity skyrocketed after his role in the 1932 cult classic film Freaks, where he showcased his unique abilities and proved that his talents went far beyond his physical condition. Prince Randian. Let's talk about a man whose story is even more inspirational. Prince Randian, popularly known as the Human Serpent, was born in 1871 in British Guiana and encountered incredible difficulties from the moment he was born, that too without arms or legs. But that did not stop him from leaving a lasting impression on the world. Randian, though disabled, became incredibly strong and agile. He could walk surprisingly well with only his torso and head. He mastered everyday tasks that were seemingly impossible. He could shave and even light his own cigarettes, all by the use of only his mouth. Randian became famous around the world for sideshows, most notably performing with Barnum and Bailey Circus. Sliding across the stage like a serpent, he enchanted crowds with both talent and charisma. Josephine Clofullia. Josephine Clofullia was born in a small Swiss village in 1831. Josephine was covered with fine hair at birth, and she was already showing traces of beard growth by the age of 2. Josephine was sent away to boarding school, but she quickly learned how to attract a large crowd using her 6-inch beard. With her father acting as her agent, Josephine traveled around Europe from the age of 14. She found noticeable fame when she fashioned her beard like that of Napoleon III and even received diamonds from the French leader. She fell in love with a talented young French painter, and the two wed and had a healthy, similarly hairy young boy in 1851. The family moved to New York so that Josephine could work in P.T. Barnum's American Museum. She became the center of a media storm after rumors questioned her gender, possibly stirred by Barnum himself to boost publicity. Despite the controversy, Josephine entertained over 3 million people during her time with Barnum, becoming one of the most famous bearded women of her era. Cuckoo the Bird Girl. Minnie Woolsey was born in Georgia in 1880. She was unlike anyone the world had ever seen. She lived with a rare condition called Virchow-Seckel syndrome, a form of dwarfism often nicknamed bird-headed due to its distinct facial features, marked by a small frame, large eyes, and a sloping jaw. While many saw her appearance as strange, Minnie saw it as a huge opportunity. She made up a unique stage persona, Cuckoo the Bird Girl. Her movements were graceful, with fluttering arms and light, expressive steps that captivated audiences wherever she performed. Minnie, through her performances, turned what some might have mocked into something mesmerizing, walking a fine line between the unsettling and the beautiful. Pauline Musters. Born in the Netherlands in 1876, Pauline Musters has a special place in history as the shortest woman ever recorded, standing at just 21.8 inches tall. But while her stature was tiny, her talent and presence were quite the opposite. Pauline trained as an acrobat and dancer and impressed crowds across Europe with her elegant movements, remarkable balance, and undeniable charm. She was nicknamed Princess Pauline and toured major cities like Paris, London, and eventually New York, fascinating audiences with each performance. However, traveling in the late 1800s meant serious risks, especially for someone with fragile health. Unfortunately, just 2 days after arriving in the United States for her debut, Pauline passed away in 1895 from pneumonia and meningitis at just 19 years of age. Martin Laurello. Unlike most freaks, Martin Laurello looked like a fairly normal person. However, although he looked normal, Laurello was able to completely rotate his head 180 degrees. Born in Germany in 1886, Martin performed around Europe before arriving in America in 1921. He quickly rose to fame and worked at notable exhibitions like Bailey Circus, Hubert's Museum, Barnum and Bailey, and Ripley's Believe It or Not auditoriums. Posted as the man who could walk forward and look backward, Laurello was also a seasoned animal trainer, teaching cats and dogs to perform acrobatic stunts. Despite bringing in massive crowds, Martin was apparently hard to work with and a Nazi sympathizer. Little is known about his later life. His last recorded performance was in 1945 with Ripley, Grace McDaniel. Grace McDaniel was born in 1888 and lived with Sturge-Weber syndrome, a rare disorder that caused pronounced facial deformities. She was cruelly nicknamed the mule-faced woman by society. But behind that label was a woman of quiet strength, deep love, and resilience. In the 1930s, she joined Harry Lewin's traveling circus, where she earned enough to take care of herself and her son Elmer. She became a loyal performer, often refusing photo ops that felt degrading and insisting that her son receive an education. Friends and colleagues remembered her as gentle, thoughtful, and fiercely protective. Grace sought sympathy from no one. She simply wanted a life where she and her child could survive and be respected. She passed away in 1958, her son buried in her hometown beneath a simple gravestone, far from the stage lights, but close to the place she truly called home. Susie. In a world full of people who judge, Susie was born with ichthyosis, a rare skin disorder that caused her skin to become extremely dry, thick, and scaly. Her audiences gave her nicknames like Alligator Girl or Elephant Skin Woman. but those who knew her personally saw real strength. Even with painful, cracking skin that required consistent care, Susie chose to stand under the circus lights, not for fame, but simply to survive. The sideshow world, as harsh as it might have been, offered her something mainstream society wouldn't. That was work and a place to fit in. Susie turned her condition into a presentation, educating some and entertaining others, but it was never easy. But behind every performance was a daily struggle with both physical pain and the emotional weight of being seen as an anomaly. Myrtle Corbin, born in Tennessee in 1868, Myrtle Corbin had a rare condition called diphagus, which gave her 2 extra legs due to a partially developed twin. She had 2 pelvises and a total of 4 legs, 2 fully formed and 2 smaller. She was able to move all of them. Myrtle took the stage at age 13 and became a major sideshow star, earning up to $450 a week. Unlike many others, she was interested in living a normal life and later married a doctor, raising 5 healthy children. Others saw how famous she got and started to fake similar conditions after she retired from the spotlight. Edward Mordake. Edward Mordake was reportedly the 19th century heir to an English peerage. He was said to suffer from a weird and unexplained condition, a second face on the back of his head. This face was rumored to whisper to him at night, filling his mind with depressing and disturbing thoughts. Desperate for freedom from it, Edward turned to many doctors and spiritualists, but there was no cure for him. He died at a young age, eventually sinking into a deep state of despair and madness. The legend of Edward Morey lives on today. It's one of those bizarre tales that medicine can't explain and imagination can't forget. Ann Bevan. Ann Bevan was nicknamed the ugliest woman during her time in the sideshow business. Yet, before her condition developed, she had lived a normal life as a wife and mother. In her mid-30s, Ann began experiencing intense headaches, vision problems, and abnormal facial growth due to acromegaly, a disorder caused by excessive growth hormone production. After her husband died in 1914, she was left alone to care for 4 children. Out of desperation, she entered an Ugliest Woman contest and won it for the prize money. That would lead her to a career in the sideshow circuit, performing with Coney Island and Ringling Brothers until she died in 1933. Bill Durks. Bill Durks was born in Alabama in 1913. He had a cleft palate and facial deformities that gave the appearance of 2 noses and a distinguished central forehead. But instead of hiding away, Bill doubled down on his uniqueness. In his 40s, he manipulated his look using makeup, prosthetics, and illusion to become the man with 3 eyes and 2 noses. The 3rd eye may have been fake, but the audience didn't care. They loved mystery over medical facts. It was more than just an act for Bill. He found companionship in the circus world and married Mildred, known as the alligator-skinned woman. They toured together as a celebrated sideshow couple. Bill's life is an example of how embracing one's differences can lead not just to acceptance, but to love. Grady Stiles. Grady Stiles, famously known as the Lobster Boy, was born in 1937 with ectrodactyly, giving his hands and feet a claw-like shape, just like his father. Following in his father's footsteps, he joined the sideshow scene and became a popular performer himself. However, behind the spotlight, Grady had a violent, abusive nature, worsened by alcohol. In 1978, he murdered his daughter's fiancée and received probation due to his disability. Years later, in 1992, his wife Maria Teresa and son hired a hitman to end his abuse once and for all. Grady's life is a chilling tale that shows how the most fascinating acts often mask the darkest realities. Eli Bowen. Eli Bowen was born in 1844 with phocomelia. He had no legs and shortened arms, but he made up for it with pure upper body strength. Famously nicknamed the Legless Acrobat, Eli shocked audiences in the late 1800s by flipping, spinning, balancing, and even performing on parallel bars, all by using just his torso and arms. Audiences came expecting nothing but to be left in awe. He was a regular performer for major American circuses and was widely admired even outside the tent. P.T. Barnum personally championed him as a marvel of perseverance and ability. Outside the circuses, Eli led a fairly normal life. He was married and had 4 children, an exceptional accomplishment for a sideshow star of his era. His resilience, both on stage and at home, made him a symbol of triumph, not a tragedy. Millie and Christine McCoy. Millie and Christine McCoy were born conjoined in 1851 in North Carolina, entering life during the horrors of slavery. They were sold as babies and treated like property. They survived through extreme beginnings. Yet the twins developed unmatchable talents like walking, dancing, mastering several languages, and singing in beautiful unison. They were known to audiences as the Two-Headed Nightingale, and they rose to international fame. After emancipation, they took greater control of their careers and earnings, an extraordinary achievement for formerly enslaved, disabled women in the 19th century. Unzie. In the early 1900s, Unzie, known as the Albino Man, gained fame for his pale skin, white lashes, and translucent hair, all caused by albinism, a condition that was rather unknown at the time. Promoters marketed him as a man from another world, attracting large crowds. Despite the painful light sensitivity that came with his condition, Unzie remained professional and performed with top circuses like Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. He was known to be polite, punctual, and well-spoken. He endured the spotlight and helped bring visibility to people with albinism, proving he was more than just a performer. He was a pioneer. Wang, the human unicorn. In the 1930s, China, a mysterious farmer known only as Wang, shocked the world when a Russian banker photographed him with a 13-inch horn growing from the back of his head. The image was sent to Robert, believe it or not, Ripley, who displayed it and even made a wax figure of Wang for his auditorium in Baltimore. Ripley offered a cash reward for someone who could bring him Wang, but the man was never found again. To this day, the photo remains the only evidence of one of history's weirdest medical mysteries. Joseph Merrick. Joseph Merrick was born in 1862 in Leicester, England. He suffered from a condition now believed to be Proteus syndrome and neurofibromatosis. His head grew 3 times the average size, his right arm was oversized and useless, his spine was twisted, his lips and face were thick, and lumpy skin covered parts of his body. Unable to find regular work, Merrick turned to sideshows under the name The Elephant Man, where he performed across Britain. Despite his unique appearance, he was kind, artistic, and gentle by nature. He enjoyed reading, writing poetry, and building intricate models. He longed simply to be treated with dignity. Dominic Castagna. In the early 20th century, Dominic Castagna was known as one of the many living skeletons of the sideshow world. He weighed under 70 pounds, and his tall stature along with his outlined rib cage made him appear almost like an alien. Dominic was suffering from tuberculosis or another severe wasting illness. On the stage, he didn't need to do much. His presence alone, standing still under the spotlight, left audiences stunned. Often featured alongside fat ladies to create dramatic contrast, his act wasn't about movement or speech. It was about getting a reaction from the audience, discomfort, and curiosity with just his physical form. Fanny Mills. Fanny Mills was born in Ohio in the 1850s. She had Milroy's disease, which caused her feet to grow to a remarkable 20 inches long and 8 inches wide. She was nicknamed the Big-Footed Woman and attracted crowds in circuses and dime museums across America. Rather than hiding it from others, Fanny embraced her condition and turned it into a successful sideshow career. Her popularity increased, and it allowed her to earn enough to support both herself and her family. Her story is a testament to strength, using what set her apart not as an excuse, but as a means of independence and opportunity. Elmer James. Elmer James Morris, better known as the Elastic Man, amazed crowds with his extraordinary contortion skills that made him appear boneless. He was suspected to have had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a rare condition that provides extreme flexibility in skin and joints. Morris also traveled with the Ringling Brothers Circus, where he would bend his limbs in astounding manners, rivaling fellow performer Felix for the title of the most elastic human in history. His rare abilities turned him into a major attraction, with audiences left stunned by what the human body could seemingly do under the circus lights. Oddity Fat and Skinny Man. In the early 1900s, the Oddity Fat and Skinny Man duo became a circus sensation. They were famous for their extreme physical contrast. One was exceptionally heavy and the other extremely thin. It was the basis of their comedy. They were titled the Circus Boxers by their audience. The performances of Oddity Fat and Skinny Man revolved around theatrical enactments, often focused on humorous boxing matches. Julia Pastrana. Julia Pastrana, a Mexican woman in the 1830s, lived with terminal hypertrichosis, a condition that covered almost all parts of her body in thick hair. She was titled the Baboon Woman and became a global curiosity in 19th century freak shows. She sang, danced, and spoke multiple languages. However, the audience never saw anything beyond her appearance. Sadly, even in death, Julia's body was used, mummified, and displayed across Europe for years. Her story remains one of the most tragic chapters in Sideshow history, a talented woman denied dignity, both in life and after. Frances O'Connor. Frances O'Connor, born without arms, learned to eat, drink, write, and even sew, using only her feet. With her mother as manager, a 15-year-old Frances joined and traveled around the globe with the Ringling Brothers Circus. Her act impressed audiences as she performed everyday tasks like drinking wine, eating steak, or writing letters, all with her feet. On rare occasions, she even held and aimed a gun with her feet, pulling the trigger with her toes. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on anything.